Hi guys, so today I'm going to focus a little bit more on like foundation and just how to get that real flawless look. I've already done my eyes and my eyebrows, so I've used the Boss Babe palette on my eyes. That's the colours that you get in it, hopefully you can see. And they're super pigmented, so you don't need a lot of these. This palette is going to last for so long. So I've done all my skincare as well. So I'm just going to add my primer. And remember, it's not a moisturiser. You just want to push this into the areas, like problem areas as well. So any like oily places, you're just going to create a barrier between all that beautiful skincare and the makeup that you're about to put on. Now I have just a few areas of concern just personally for myself. So I do have some pigmentation issues on my skin, and that's just sun damage over the years that's manifesting now. Probably took about 20 years for it to get like this. But as your skin thins, as you get older, you start to see them a little bit more. So what I tend to do is I've got this quad here. It's a full coverage quad, and I just tend to mix a couple of the colours together. I've already dispensed a little bit onto my hand with my spatula, just for hygiene reasons, so you're not just dipping straight in. And then I'll generally just go into that first, and I put it on the back of my hand because it kind of warms the product up a little bit, but you can use a palette if you want. And I'll generally just kind of go over those areas of concern with that more full coverage foundation. I suppose it acts a little bit like a concealer as well, but it is more of a foundation texture. And I'm just going to get them covered before I actually put my foundation on. And then I'll just do a little bit around the mouth as well, because you can get a little bit of redness around the mouth and just in the corners of the nose. And this sponge is great because you can really get in to those corners there. So that's something just personally for me. I just don't like to be able to see it through my makeup. So with this being a bit more full coverage, it just helps hide that a little bit for me. So I've got two options for foundation. So we've got the Liquid Powder Mineral, which is this one just here. This one is a matte finish. It dries to a powder, which is great if you want that really matte look. And then you've got the Illuminating Liquid Foundation, which is what I generally use. It's a bit better for like drier, a bit more dehydrated skin, but it's gonna really help with luminosity. And once I've got it on, you'll see that it actually kind of like highlights those areas where you would normally put highlighter on. So same again, just dispense a little bit, and using the same sponge, it's just a little bit damp. I'll then just go over that full coverage and blend it all in together. So I've already done my eyes, so I'm just going to be really careful about going around my eyes, and I generally don't like to put too much directly under the eye area because it can get quite dry, and it can also then start to crease a little bit. So we don't want that. We don't want any little creasy bits. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue on popping this on over. And as you can see, I'm kind of like pushing the foundation in. I'm not dragging it around the face. And you can use a brush if you want to use a brush if you feel more comfortable. I just feel more comfortable using the sponge on my own face, but if I am doing someone else's, I will use a brush sometimes as well, because you can get more of a full coverage look if you want that. And I'll generally just use the flat end of the sponge because you can really push the foundation onto the skin. Make sure you get inside the nose there, otherwise it can just look a little bit red in there. And just make sure that that's gone everywhere. So you don't need a lot actually. Tends to kind of go quite far, this liquid foundation. And then just make sure you're kind of going up into the hairline. And I don't know if you can see already in the light, but just here where you'll generally get a little bit of the, where you put highlighter normally, when you turn, and just up here as well, that's the foundation with the luminosity, which is really great, especially if you want to kind of like brighten your skin up a little bit and really give that highlighted effect. But as I say, you can use the liquid to powder if you want like a really matte finish. So this is a medium to full coverage, this foundation that I'm using. But it is really blendable. As you can see, you can't even see what I put underneath before. So I can just see a little bit of what I don't like there. So what I'll do is I'll tend to just pull a little bit more of that full coverage, and then I'll just kind of dot over again just to make sure that I'm not seeing those. So I generally don't like to use too much powder, especially in the winter when my skin's a little bit drier. If you're a little bit older, if you're using too many powders, it can like settle into, you know, little fine lines. It can settle into your pores. So I generally try to stay away from like, you know, the setting powders too much. But what I will do is I'll use my kind of bronzer as a little bit of a setting, just so I'm not using too many powders. So I'm not using the setting powder and then the bronzer. So what I'll do is, this is the Hampton Socialite powder. Obviously knock off your excess like with everything, and don't drag the brush. I think that was the old way of doing things. What you do is just kind of push it in to your foundation, and it'll just kind of bring that colour up, just so you've got a little bit of a tan. So if you need to pick up some more, and then just knock off the excess. And same again, just push it in to the foundation. And then it just kind of gives you a bit more colour. So I'm going to leave it there. That's just the foundation that I use. And as you can see, I've got really good coverage on those areas that I wanted to cover up just by using those two products. And then next I'm going to go on to just adding the blush, a little bit of contour, not too much, and the highlighter, and then how we blend that all together to get the real smooth look on your face.